The silent betrayal, the glow of the laptop screen, cast shadows across Elena's face as she debugged the final lines of code. The office was silent except for the hum of servers. At 33, she was the backbone of Mercer Technologies, though few outside the company knew it. Her fingers danced across the keyboard, fixing the security flaw that had kept the team scrambling for days. Still here? Daniel's voice was smooth, laced with the expensive whiskey he'd been sipping with investors. He leaned against her desk, his tailored suit jacket slung over one shoulder. The scent of his collar-something woody and expensive mixed, with the faint trace of a floral perfume that wasn't hers. Just finishing up, she murmured, saving her work. The update goes live tomorrow. He kissed her forehead, his lips cool. You're the reason this company thrives. Once this deal closes, we'll take that vacation to Bali. Promise. Promises. Elena forced a smile. 3 years ago, she'd shelved her own startup to build Daniel's dream. Now, her code-powered Mercertech's entire security infrastructure. Though Daniel introduced it as our innovation or worse, his breakthrough at home. She placed the pregnancy test on the bathroom counter, staring at the 2 pink lines. She was 8 weeks along. Daniel had been distant for months, but maybe this would bring them back together. She prepared his favorite meal, seared scallops with truffle risotto and lit candles. By midnight, the food was cold. His text came. At 12:37 a.m., client dinner ran late. Don't wait up. When he slipped into bed at 2 a.m., the scent of jasmine clung to his skin. Elena stayed perfectly still, her fingers curling into the sheets. The next morning, she called her doctor to confirm the pregnancy. Then, she did something she'd never done before. She logged into Daniel's cloud account. The password was still the date of their wedding. The receipts were careless. A weekend at the Montage Laguna Beach, reservations for 2 at La Bernardine, a diamond bracelet from Cartier. And then, the emails flirty, explicit, sent to Sophie Laurent Mercer. Tech's new marketing director, Elena, single quotes, his hands didn't shake. She took screenshots, forwarded them to a secure folder, and erased her tracks. Then she picked up her phone and dialed a number she'd saved years ago, but never used. Rafael Silva, a crisp voice answered. I need your help, Elena said, her voice steady. My husband is cheating, and I want to destroy him. Rafael Silva's office was a study in calculated intimidation, sleek black furniture. Floor 2 ceiling windows overlooking the city, and a single framed quote on the wall, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. The man himself was lean, sharply, dressed with a gaze that missed nothing, steepled his fingers as Elena laid out her evidence. So, he said, scanning the receipts and emails, your husband is sleeping with an employee, spending marital funds on her, and you're pregnant. His lips twitched. This is going to be fun. Elena's fingers brushed her still flat stomach. I don't just want a divorce. I want him to feel it. Rafael leaned back. Good, 'cause in California, infidelity doesn't just hurt emotionally. He opened a file. Mercer Technologies. You built the security framework? Every line of code. Then we're not just fighting for alimony. We're fighting for intellectual property. He slid a document toward her. I need access to everything, company records, financials, any proof Daniel's been funneling money. And, he added, we need to know if Sophie Laurent is more than just a mistress. The private investigator was a wiry man named Luca Moretti. Within a week, he had photos of Daniel and Sophie in Napa, her hand resting on her stomach in a way that suggested more than wine tasting. She's pregnant, Luca confirmed. 12 weeks, Daniel knows. Lena's breath caught, but her voice stayed steady. Does she know about me? Oh, she knows. Luca handed her a transcript of a text exchange. Sophie, what happens when your wife finds out? Daniel, she won't, and if she does, I'll handle it. Raphael smirked. Handle it, huh? Let's see how he handles this. Meanwhile, Daniel was oblivious. He came home late, smelling of Sophie's perfume, spinning tales of investor meetings. Elena played her part doting wife, excited mother-to-be. But every night, she combed through company files, copying everything. Then the bombshell. He's been skimming profits, Raphael said, tossing a financial report onto the table. diverting funds to an offshore account, tax fraud on top of everything else. Alina stared at the numbers. He's been stealing from his own company. No, Raphael corrected. Your company, because if you wrote the code and he used marital assets. To fund it, half of Mercer Tech is yours. He paused. Maybe more if we play this right. The confrontation came unexpectedly. Daniel's mother, Claire, dropped by the office unannounced. She was a sharp-eyed woman who had never quite approved of Alina. Daniel says you've been distant, Claire said, stirring her tea. He's worried. Alina smiled. I've just been tired. Pregnancy, you know. Claire's gaze flicked to Elena's untouched coffee. He always drank coffee before. A beat of silence. And you know about Sophie, Claire said softly. Elena didn't blink. Do you? Claire sighed. He's my son. But he's also an idiot. She set down her cup. He thinks he can have both of you. I told him you don't cross a woman like Alina and walk away clean. Alina tilted her head. And what do you want, Claire?
Act.
To protect the company, she admitted.
Act.
Even if it means cutting Daniel loose. Alina almost laughed. Even his mother was betraying him. That night she met Raphael at a dimly lit bar. Ah, Claire. Knows, she said. She's scared I'll burn everything down. You? Raphael asked. Alina swirled her ginger ale. I'll just take what's mine. Raphael grinned. Then it's time to file. The papers would hit Daniel where it hurt. Mercer Tech's next board meeting, in front of everyone who mattered. The morning of Mercer Tech's quarterly board meeting dawned with an unseasonable chill in the air. Alina dressed carefully, a tailored navy suit, her hair pulled back in a sleek knot. The kind of outfit that whispered authority rather than screamed it. She slipped the court documents into her leather portfolio and checked her phone one last time. Raphael, press is ready. Luke is in position? You good? Alina, let's end this. The Mercer Tech headquarters buzzed with energy, executives milling. Around the glass-walled conference room, sipping expensive coffee, Daniel stood at the front, flashing his trademark grin as he greeted investors. Sophie lingered near the refreshments, her hands subtly resting on her stomach. Alina walked in just as the meeting was about to start. Daniel's smile faltered for half a second before he recovered. Alina, I didn't know you were joining us today. I wouldn't miss it, she said smoothly, taking a seat at the long table. The presentation began. Daniel launched into his usual spiel: growth projections, new clients, the revolutionary security framework that was their crown jewel. He didn't mention Alina once. Then, halfway through, the doors opened again. A process server stepped inside, flanked by two stern-faced men in suits. The room fell silent. Daniel Mercer, the server asked. Daniel's jaw tightened. Yes, you've been served. The man handed him a thick stack of papers: divorce, petition, intellectual property claim, and a temporary restraining order freezing certain offshore accounts pending investigation. The room erupted in murmurs. Daniel's face went pale as he scanned the documents. His eyes snapped to Alina. What the hell is this? Alina stood, her voice calm. That's my formal claim to 50% of Mercer Tech. Since, as you know, I built the security architecture that makes this company valuable. She turned to the stunned board members. I also have evidence of financial misconduct, diverted funds, tax evasion, and of course, the misuse of company resources to fund an affair with an employee. Sophie's face drained of color. A tech journalist, Mira Patel, who Luca had discreetly tipped off, was already typing furiously on her phone. Daniel slammed his hands on the table. This is a personal matter. We'll handle it privately. Lena smiled. It stopped being private when you lied to investors about who really built this company. She pulled a flash drive from her pocket and slid it toward the lead board member. Everything's in here. Emails, financial records, even the receipts for Sophie's jewelry. The room exploded into chaos. By noon, the story was everywhere. TechCrunch, Mercer Tech CEO accused of fraud. At infidelity, as CTO wife drops bombshell. Forbes. How Alina Voss just became Silicon Valley's most feared. Woman Daniel's phone rang nonstop. Angry investors, furious lawyers, His mother screaming at him in Italian, Sophie locked herself in a bathroom and called her mother in tears, and Alina. She walked out of that building with her head high, Raphael at her side, knowing the real fight was just beginning. The scent of sawdust and fresh paint filled the air as Alina stepped into the empty downtown loft. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the polished concrete floors. This space raw, full of potential, would become the headquarters of her new company. Her phone buzzed. Raphael. Daniel just countersued. Claims you stole proprietary code. Judge set mediation for next month. She exhaled sharply. Even after the public implosion, Daniel was still fighting. But she wasn't the same woman who'd sat silently across from him at dinner, ignoring the perfume on his collar. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Levi Carter stood in the doorway. A blueprint tube under one arm and a coffee carrier in the other. Thought you could use this, he said, handing her a cup. Decaf. Heard it's better for the baby. 6 weeks had passed since the board meeting disaster. 6 weeks of Levi steady, kind, infuriatingly competent. Levi showing up to help renovate the loft while her belly grew more pronounced. You don't have to keep doing this, she said, accepting the coffee. He unrolled the blueprints across. A makeshift table of sawhorses. I told you Wayo your brother for recommending me to that hotel client. A smirk. Also, watching you dismantle your ex's empire is the best entertainment I've had in years. Elena laughed despite herself. Levi had become an unexpected constant in the chaos. The architect her brother Ethan had sent to build the nursery, who kept finding excuses to stay involved. A widower with a 5-year-old son, he understood loss in a way most people didn't. She studied his latest design, an open concept office with adaptive workstations for different mobility needs. You incorporated my notes, of course. His finger traced a ramp integration. This isn't charity, Voss. Your accessibility software could revolutionize how spaces get designed. He hesitated, assuming you're still pursuing that instead of just taking Mercer Tech for revenge. The comment stung, because it was true. She'd been so focused on destroying Daniel, she'd almost forgotten why she'd entered tech in the first place. That night, over takeout Thai at her apartment, Levi's son Noah colored at the kitchen table while Alina scrolled through yet another legal email. Daddy says your old boss is a poophead, Noah announced. Noah, Levi groaned. Alina snorted. Your dad's not wrong. Levi shot her a look as he cleared plates. You're corrupting my child. Good. He should know the truth early. She hesitated. Daniel's lawyers are pushing for mediation instead of trial. They know I have more evidence. Levi sat across from her, his usual humor gone. What do you want, Alina? Really? The question hung in the air. She looked at Noah's crayon drawing. A lopsided house with 3 stick figures. A family. I want to build something that matters, she said quietly. Not just take apart what he made. The next morning, she called Raphael with new instructions. Offered Daniel a deal. I'll drop the fraud claims if he publicly acknowledges my IP contribution and gives me 30% of Mercer Techno non-compete clause. Raphael whistled. That's unexpectedly merciful. It's not mercy, it's strategy. She stared at the half-finished nursery, where Levi's crib stood assembled. I'm done letting him dictate my life. 2 days later, Daniel showed up. Unannounced at her loft, he looked haggard, his designer stubble grown out, the first gray strands visible at his temples. You win, he said hoarsely. I'll take the deal. Alina crossed her arms. Why the change of heart? Sophie left, took the Cartier bracelet, and moved back to Chicago. A bitter laugh. Turns out she only liked me when I was winning. For a fleeting moment, Alina almost pitied him. Almost. Sign the papers, Daniel.
Else?
He turned to leave. He paused. You would have been an amazing mother to our kid. The door clicked shut behind him. Alina placed a hand on her stomach, feeling the baby Kika reminder that some betrayals led to unexpected blessings. That evening, Levi found her on the rooftop terrace of her building, staring at the city skyline. Mediation's done, she said. I start my company next week. He leaned beside her on the railing. Need an architect to design more offices? She turned to face him. I was thinking something more permanent. If you're interested. What? The first real smile of the past year spread across her face as he kissed her soft, tentative, a promise of beginnings rather than endings. The courtroom smelled of lemon polish and tension. Lena sat at the plaintiff's table, her hands folded over the swell of her belly, watching as Judge Amelia Hart reviewed the final settlement documents. Across the aisle, Daniel tapped his fingers. Nervously against the wood, his lawyer murmuring last-minute advice. Ms. Voss, Judge Hart said, adjusting her glasses. You're agreeing to relinquish all fraud claims in exchange for 30%. Equity in Mercer Technologies and full recognition as the architect of their security framework. Is this correct? Lena nodded. Yes, Your Honor. The judge turned to Daniel. And Mr. Mercer? You understand this agreement includes a binding clause that all future company materials must credit Ms. Voss's contributions? Daniel's jaw tightened, but he muttered yes. Judge Hart stamped the papers with a final thud. Then this matter is settled. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Alina, does this mean you're returning to Mercer Tech? Daniel, any comment? On Sophie Laurent's recent interview calling you the worst mistake of her life. Alina ignored them, stepping into a waiting town car, where Levi sat with Noah. The little boy clutching a handmade congratulations. Sign, you did it, Levi said, squeezing her hand. She exhaled, the weight of the past year finally lifting. How? We did it. Epilogue. 6 months later, the launch party for Voss Adaptive Technologies was held in the very loft Levi had helped her renovate. The space buzzed with energy engineers demoing accessibility software, investors marveling at prototypes, and Nina, Elena's sister, shamelessly flirting with Raphael by the champagne tower. Elena stood at the center of it all, cradling her newborn daughter Lily against her chest. A familiar figure lingered near the exit. Daniel, uninvited but not unwelcome. He approached cautiously. You look happy, he said. She was. Genuinely, I am. He nodded toward Levi, who was laughing with Noah. By the dessert table? He's good for you. A pause. Then, quietly, I'm sorry, Elena. She studied him, the man she'd once loved, now a stranger with tired eyes. I know. And with that, he left. Later, as the party wound down, Levi found her on the terrace, Lily asleep in his arms. Ready to go home? He asked. Alina looked out at the city, at the lights of Mercer Tech glowing in the distance, at the life she'd rebuilt from the ashes. Yes, she said, taking his hand. Let's go home.